If it keeps on raining, the levee is gonna break, but trust us, the proverbial rain is not going anywhere, and we might argue that the levees, well, they've already broken. This is gonna be a jam-packed episode of Implicit Bias. We're gonna get into some of the topics that might need a little weekly whiskey, maybe even a lot of weekly whiskey, because quite frankly, the torrent of information that's been coming to light lately doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime soon. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. This is Implicit Bias Radio, and yes, the levees are strained, and here comes the breach. Now, as you know, we often deal in metaphors, comparisons, similes, and as much literary device as we can on this show. And this show, is going to be no different. The levees that look like they're about to break, or maybe have already broken, well, judgment is that levee. Let's be honest. We've spent decades running from judgment like it's some moral IRS audit. We'd love to tell people, who are you to judge me, as if the question itself isn't a verdict. But here's the uncomfortable truth. And that truth is maybe sharper than a 1980s ZZ Top sharp-dressed man. If you're good, real good, judgment's not a threat. Judgment can be a spotlight. We know from Matthew 5:14 through 16, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine before others so they may see your good works. Christ didn't say hide in the basement with your virtue. He said flaunt it, because if your deeds are solid, judgment just holds everything up to the sun. Now, think of maybe a popular movie character, Vito Corleone in The Godfather. The man built an empire on secrecy. Remember, never tell anyone outside the family what you're thinking. Why? Because his business crumbled under scrutiny. Contrast that with Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. The man walked into a courtroom wanting the town to judge his actions. Why? Well, because he was right. Judgment separates the Vitos from the Atticus. Generation X knows this pretty well. When Johnny Rotten snarled no future, he wasn't afraid of judgment. He actually demanded it. When Reagan stood in front of the Brandenburg Gate and said, tear this wall down, he wasn't whispering. He threw the challenge into the teeth of history because he believed, rightly or wrongly, that his side could and would withstand the judgment. The funny part is, it's not about those who really don't mind judgment today. After all, look, no one's perfect. We do try to be Catholic and Christian on this show, but we know we're faulty, we're broken. However, we still don't necessarily fear judgment because, well, we're penitent. And maybe that's the crux that we somehow have mainly seemed to have forgotten today. It's not about those who accept it and who are penitent about it. Yet, only it's really the guilty who fear the gavel. Consider this. If you're driving the speed limit, you don't sweat the cop in your rearview mirror. If you're handing back the extra change to the cashier that they dropped, you don't flinch when the manager watches the security tape. Hell, if you're Luke Skywalker blowing up the Death Star, you want the rebel commanders judging your shot. Remember, stay on target. Yeah, judgment is not oppression. It's accountability with teeth. Unfortunately, some members of our social contract in the United States, they seem to have weaponized judgment, tried to make everyone feel guilty for judging our own behaviors. Why? Well, first, because they know. They know that if their behaviors are judged by truth, not their truth, but the truth, well, let's just say those same people that don't want to be judged, well, they won't become welcome. Suddenly, and maybe this is a big one, they get to play the victim. We talked about this last week on the show. If they get to play the victim, then they get to play on others' pity, on the pity of everyone. And the big trick those same people need to pull off is to make you feel sorry for those, not who do evil, because we all do it, but for those who choose it on purpose. Don't ever do it. Evil, unfortunately, needs to be judged. And when we judge it, we need to shine the light of judgment on it from all angles so everyone can see what evil is what evil's for, and what evil does. So here's the charge this week. Stop treating your judgment like a dirty word. Wear your choices like a neon members-only jacket. Let the world squint at it. If they hold it up, you've just turned critics into witnesses for your own defense. If they don't, well, maybe that's the universe's way of saying, fix your damn wiring. After all, when the levee breaks, you find out what's built on the rock and what's built on the rot. Let it break, my friends. We'll be back. Weekly whiskey in hand, glasses raised for a happy Mardi Gras at the TSPL, barrels headfirst into Mardi Gras somewhere in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana. Grab your glass, pour a sip, hang on, as the parade that is Implicit Bias rolls on. Cheers. We are judging Weekly Whiskey on Implicit Bias Radio as we roll headfirst into the parade that is Mardi Gras here in Southern Louisiana. We're coming to you from the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair located somewhere in Lafayette, Louisiana. Yes, it is full-on Mardi Gras season, which is why we have our beautiful Mardi Gras double old-fashioned glasses. It's why we have the Bead King on the bar. He is Craig Spadoni, and he's with us in bobblehead spirit, maybe. Not necessarily fully here. He'll be here after Mardi Gras. But let me introduce you to the crew we've got here for you this week. We're going to start in the chair, much like mine. If you're watching on the video side, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, he is Caleb Morris, just got the ears lowered at All American Barbering. Great to have you back another week.
Made a big difference. You know, I feel 15 years younger. So thank you, Nick.
So you feel like you're like -3?
Sure. I'll work with that one.
At the bar, we have Burley Short Pour Pell around, one of the OG crew as well. Good to have you in the TSPL, the top secret podcast layer for the uninitiated.
Like I always say, it's great to be here. And Caleb, that is a pretty nice haircut, man.
I see Burley got one too.
It's kind of tight. This is the cheapest haircut in town. I guarantee.
Look.
I guarantee you.
Okay, there are times, I cannot lie. There are times when I'm like, man, I just want to shave it all.
Dude, it is so
Have you
awesome.
ever shaved your head?
so I don't have to deal with it.
But it's, you know what's funny? Like I shave my head as if I'm fixing my hair. So if I'm going out, or if I'm going to be on camera,
You prep it.
I shave
I mean,
my
that
head.
makes sense because like when I used to shave my head, I would do it if I knew I was going to wear like a beret, because military you wore berets back then, or a hat or something else. I would shave it beforehand as well because it just looked better with
Right, it does,
shine.
but I mean that's getting dressed for me, right? I mean,
So I gotta
you
ask the
probably
question.
put a little product in your hair.
Oh,
I
a little,
shave
dear
my
God.
head. I shave 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay, I'm about to
honestly.
say that was my question.
But-
that answers the whole thing for me.
But if there's something particular, I would do it today.
I will
tonight.
only
Were you
shave my
gonna ask
face
him
about
about-
once a week. I was going to ask him about the car buffer.
I thought I didn't. Well, you're asking about.
Is there like
how
a
often
little
he
mini
shaves
one
his
that
head?
you and just make it look nice and shiny and
You were
glimmery?
curious how often he shaves his head or how often he shaves?
moisturizer, and sunscreen. That's the mixture. That's all it is.
Look, I'm just curious that if I were to go down that road, what's the upkeep? I've gone close enough, like with a one where I didn't have to do anything or put anything in it,
Good
but
razors.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
Good razors.
Like a nice
are
flexible razor. Now you moisturize. Do you use like snail mucin?
No.
Who was I talking to? Maybe it was my daughter that was telling me that people are using snail mucus.
Jackie,
so you're using
Jackie and she had a conversation.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so you're not using literally snail trail on top of your head, which is a thing apparently for the ladies, and we're going to leave that
No,
there.
I just use mostly moisturizer with sunscreen.
Cool.
I have a day and a night that I actually use.
And I appreciate this because you have answered the question. I don't like to shave my face once a week, much less have to deal with shaving my head
Right.
too. I mean, I'm bad enough with the places I can see, much less if I'm trying to shave my head where I can't see it.
Yeah.
No, thank you. All right. Last person at the bar, Father Joe Campion, keeping us Catholic. It's always great that we have with us somebody who keeps us Catholic and Christian on this show, because if you've listened and you've heard our sense of humors, we need it.
Good to be back with you. Yep. I went to the barber too, and he gave me a reverse mohawk, with a slight comb over. But maybe you should use Nair on top of your head. You just make it so much easier.
Then it could go a little longer and more in between.
No, don't do it. Don't try it. It's ill-advised.
Lesson learned. That's what that is.
All right, so that is ill-advised. Let's talk about what is advised, and let's talk about our weekly whiskey in the weekly whiskey segment as we bring you yet another pick from the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective. This pick comes to you from Champine's Market in Carencro. Remember, when we bring you our picks, these are picks you can only get from the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective partners. This one up in Karen Crow. If you're looking for a place to get a particular whiskey, go to our website, implicitbiasradio.com. You can find all of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective partners there, and you'll know where to get the best picks. We like to think pretty much anywhere as Caleb steals the bottle. All right, let's start at the bar. Burley, you're short pour Peller and you're already on your second pour. So I'm curious as to
My first pour was a very short pour.
and there's the reason why we call you short pour.
My second was not.
Burley,
This is.
I watch you pour. You can always short pour. It was 4 fingers
sitting-
short in a double old fashioned
sit-
glass. Come on.
I did go low my first one because I wasn't sure.
Okay, so
I wasn't sure.
Are you sure now?
I am.
So what are you sure of? Absolutely nothing.
It's very pleasant, actually.
Okay.
It's a rye. I'm a rye guy. It's not as high heat rye as I typically like.
Okay.
I don't know what the proof is. I'm guessing it's 86. I don't think it's above 90.
Okay.
But it's easy to drink. Again, most of the time when we do this, we're doing it our first go around in neat.
Yep.
And
No water?
no
Not
water, no
even?
nothing. And this one is when it goes down easy like that, that tells you a lot about what you can do with it. And so this would be something very good to mix. I'm sure it would make a solid old fashioned. It'd be great over ice. It'd be great with a little water. If you didn't like, anything too strong, but it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
It's a good pick.
So first of all, I'm gonna argue with you here because in an old fashioned, I don't put rye into an old fashioned. I'm a bourbon guy in an old fashioned. However,
I don't drink old fashioned.
However, a Sazerac out of this, well, it's pretty obvious
What?
because you don't know how to make one.
Okay,
So,
well, there you go.
but no, seriously, a Sazerac out of this, which I mean, original Sazerac was actually made with cognac, not made with rye, and due to a boll weevil problem in Europe where they make cognac and them not having the right grapes for it and all that good stuff and the right fruit for it, they switched it to a rye whiskey. And that's how you got the Sazerac cocktail made with rye whiskey. Man, this would sit really, really well with that beautiful lemon, that hint of the absinthe that you get by misting the glass, that little bit of bitters and that beautiful little Sirop de Claire that we like to use to make it. Make an absolutely beautiful cocktail. Almost make it a problematic cocktail because it would be so easy to drink.
The absinthe has that's high alcohol. It also,
So
isn't it?
it's not high alcohol. No,
It's
the
not?
absinthe really
I've
isn't a
never
high
had
proof. Absinthe or herb saint, which actually herb saint is an anagram for absinthe, for those who
Okay.
don't know. It's wormwood.
It's
It is a
such
heavy licorice.
flavor.
Correct.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
And
so it's not alcohol.
Well,
No, it is
has
alcohol.
It is alcohol.
content.
but it's not necessarily high proof.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lower proof. It's around 90. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Okay.
it's somewhere around there. And literally, I have an atomizer that I keep herb saint in, and that is what I use for the glass if I'm making a Sazerac. I spritz the glass with the atomizer, and that's it, because it is so strong. And then when you pair that with the beautiful lemon peel, the Sirop de Claire, the bitters, the Amer de Saison, which, by the way, the official cocktail mixer of Implicit Bias Radio, makes an absolutely fantastic cocktail. As Burley's like, what do I need to go get? How do I make it? And all the recipes are there. This, as far as a mixer, all day, every day, twice on Sundays. And if you've got somebody who's not quite as spirit forward as we are,
Right.
AKA they're not proof hounds like we are, this would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic in it because you get those deep flavors and that spice that you like with a rye.
Yeah. No, it's got great flavor. It's got a great profile.
Yeah.
I'm getting all of the hints, just a little subdued, more than what I would typically.
You like a little more aggression. You like
I
a little
like-
higher
I like
proof.
aggression.
You like a
Yeah.
little more higher proof as
Higher
well.
proof and a little more pop,
Yep.
especially on my ryes. But
Yep.
it's very good, easy to drink.
There must be another priest here because I'm told wherever there are two priests, there's a fifth. And there's plenty of fifths in here. And that's your joke, Father Joe, because you're the one that told me that joke. I'm curious as to what you think of this Sazerac.
Well, after what you just said, that makes sense to me. I like light on a rye or a whiskey, which is very good for me. But I didn't know what absinthe was. But now that makes sense because I can get a sweet anise licorice type.
Correct.
Yeah, so that makes sense to me. I find this very palatable, easy for me. That's the way I like the stronger proofs. The higher proofs, not so much.
And when we say light, it's lighter on the proof. I don't find that this is lighter on the flavor.
No.
The flavors hit me in different places. I get it front of the tongue. I get it back of the mouth and in the cheeks. I don't get that mid-palate sweet that you get with a lot of whiskeys. It's a rye. It shouldn't be oversweet. So it's got that flavor profile you're looking for. I get that almost dark cherry that you would expect to get on a rye, especially at this proof. Now, I have not looked at the proof. The bottle is sitting next to me if you're watching on social media. I haven't looked at the proof. I'm going to think this is 90 to 95 is my guess. But it drinks like it could almost be 80. There is very little, I don't want to say kick to it because we like the kick, but it's incredibly smooth.
Right. So I think the word that was just used, pop, it doesn't have the pop, which is fine with me.
It doesn't Rochambeau you the minute you take a sip of it, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. For me. Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the proof, Caleb.
You could have just asked.
Oh, well, then, yeah, since your eyes are better than mine on this, what is the proof? 90.
On the nose.
Okay, 90 on the nose, which is to be expected with a Sazerac rye, this being a pick from Champagnes. So this is going to be a little unique. It's not going to be like every other bottle of Sazerac rye that you just find on the shelf. It's going to have a little bit of unique flavor to it, which brings us to the unique palate that we have here in the TSPL, because we all know that Caleb's got something special with this one, and he's been, dare I say, on the nose for the last few weeks.
And look, I'm not going to go down into my typical stuff with this, but on this one, I get just delicious caramel. I get brown sugar.
Yes.
Heavy brown sugar, hints of vanilla. It's almost like a homemade dessert, not a praline, but there's another one that my grandmother used to make. I can't think of what it is. But hints of pecan, all that with it. It's very, very good. It's got almost a wheated mouthfeel. It's very, very soft, not very aggressive. It's very fleeting in the beginning, and then you get that caramel bomb, followed by, I would use like a cherry Coke.
Yeah.
Like a cherry Coke
I get that.
palate.
And that's maybe the black cherry that I'm talking about, like a cheer wine almost.
Yeah. And then it's got a nice crisp little clean, and then you get the hint of rye spice. And at 90 proof, this drinks like an 80. I mean, this is easy to drink on, easy to sip on.
Well, what did I say? 86 or something?
Yeah. You said 86.
It's got a little oil to it.
It does.
It's got some length.
It's. I think that's what makes it even more pleasant.
So one of the things that I do like about Sazerac ryes, just in general, and you get a little more oil as sometimes you get up in the higher proofs, but even the basest Sazerac rye, you do get that oil. It is a little viscous. It sits on the palate. It lingers. It doesn't just disappear at the end of the sip, which is what I really like about it. It gives you that, and there are the 5 different flavor profiles. The last one being umami. That's savory. I get that umami with this. It is savory after the swallow. It doesn't bite. It's kind of like, I go back to, what was the description? A ripple, right? It don't sparkle, it don't shine, it just kind of lays there. That is what I get. This just kind of lays on the palate. It lingers, it rests, and it's beautiful in that rest because it keeps you thinking about it. And that to me is what I really love about this Sazerac rye. It's really, really good. And when you think about the mass products that are out there, you're like, okay, I know I've tried all these brands, and some of the brands we just love.
Well, it goes to consistency as well, right?
Yep.
Sazerac has been very consistent with the stuff they put out. It's not like some of the other brands that might be more desirable, where you get a bottle and you're like, this is it. This is what I want. This is my brand. You get another bottle and you're like, Steve wasn't working today.
Yeah.
Sazerac's been very consistent. And I'm telling you right now, their cask, their other ones, like, don't sleep on this. Don't sleep on Sazerac. I slept on it and didn't get into it soon enough. I'm very, very happy with what they're putting out.
Sazerac rye, to your point, so far neat. This is an easy sipper. And for those who are from Louisiana, one of the things that we can say, because if you have the opportunity, you're listening and you're not able to get to the Acadiana version of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective, you can hit Dornax in New Orleans. They've got Sazerac picks. They've got those. If you're in Monroe, I'm sure there's plenty of places up there that do Sazerac picks. But when I tell you This is that step between. So when we had a Blanton's Gold pick on the show, and I said, this is New Orleans in a glass. My version of New Orleans is a very old school version. I'm a kid of the 70s. My parents raised my brothers in the 60s. My dad did business as you did in the 50s, 60s, and 70s in New Orleans. So when I think of New Orleans, I'm very old school New Orleans. That Blanton's Gold really sat there. This is New Orleans Mardi Gras. This is when you grow up in New Orleans and you're like, man, I need something on the parade route. It's a little cool. Well, let me go see if I can find me. That's what this tastes like. That's where this brings me. And you go, man, if I would have had this in college, I might not be here today. I mean, it was close enough as it was. This would have made it that much worse because this is so much more just of a daily consumable drinker. And that's what I love about it. Burley, you wanted to chime in.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you on everything that you're saying. It's so pleasant. Like even my little test with my tongue push on the top of like I typically do with rye to see the level of burn, it's almost not there.
I can't wait to get a couple drops of water and whiskey into this.
Because
if it opens it up even more,
it'd be crazy.
I'm gonna be really careful because I don't want to proof it down any further.
Much. You wouldn't want to put much. I mean, a drop or two, maybe.
But
I might need more whiskey to do
But a
this.
drop or two.
I definitely will because I'm already.
That's why we call him short pour.
I don't know what you tried to do to me over here, Caleb, but that was not fair.
Look,
Yeah.
I gave you
Not
the bottle
nice.
the first time.
It's
Okay,
not nice.
so let's dive into the Morse Whiskey rating code on this, and we'll explain that in a second, as well as play What Would You Pay, presented by Box Drop of Lafayette, for the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain. So the Morse Whiskey rating code, for those who've never listened to the show, first of all, if you haven't, thank you for listening. If you've missed any of the show and you want to catch it, find us anywhere you get podcasts, Implicit Bias Radio. Like, follow, subscribe, share. It helps us get out your implicit bias. The Morse Whiskey rating code is as follows. Red, I would not drink this even if it was free. Yellow, I would only drink this if it was free. Green, I would buy this. Blue, I must seek this out. It is a mandatory to have on the bar, and it is something beyond special. And actually, we have somebody we didn't hear from. Walker, what did you think?
This one's
It
solid.
doesn't matter what you think. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
This one's solid. Like you said, it's very smooth, easy to drink, like an everyday drinker.
He was just waiting for that.
No, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. That's why I kept talking.
Literally, it just popped into my head when I was like, wait, we forgot to ask Walker, and I forgot he'd had a glass.
He knew it was going to be something. You knew it was going to be something. Yeah,
That's why I just
keep
kept talking.
Just keep talking.
Yeah. I already said what I said. You missed it.
No, I just didn't care. All right.
Yeah.
So, Walker, where would you rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code? Red, yellow, green, or blue? And then what would you pay?
Green, $50.
Green and $50. Father Joe, let's go to you. And I know you don't typically have to buy a ton of whiskey because you've got parishioners who sometimes take care of you. One of the blessings, right? I mean, it is what it is.
You know. Well, look what I do to wine. So
Touche, Father Joe.
green.
Okay.
And 53.
Green and 53.
My price is right here.
There you go. So you're going $51, Bob. All right, Burley.
Solid green all day long. Otherwise, it would be a blue for me if it were probably just a little more intense.
Yeah.
From a drinkability standpoint, from a relativity standpoint to everyone who would try it, I think it's perfect. Definitely something to have on the bar.
Okay.
Store pick. Does it say 6 years on it? No, it doesn't
No,
say
doesn't
any-
say an age.
no age.
No age
age
statement.
I'll go $60.
$60. 50, 53, 60. And we have 3 greens so far. So unofficially, it's already a green.
It's still a green. I'm gonna give it a green. I did put a drop of water and whiskey in here, and I'll tell you what, the minuscule edge it had, it rounded it off.
Yeah.
It gave it almost like a flat cola kind of flavor in the beginning.
Ooh.
And
a
it
little more up
just-
front.
And a little more front to it, and that caramel it kind of rounded it out.
I love it when there's a little more up front and just enough on the back.
To that point, before you get into the next thing, I would not put a big ice cube in it.
Oh, no.
because it would go.
You would kill it.
It would kill
Father
it.
Joe's over there making the sign of the cross at me, trying to keep me Christian and Catholic with that comment. I was talking about whiskey, Father.
I'm gonna go under on the price. I'm gonna say 45.
45 on the price. So we have 50, 53, 45, and Burley, you said 65?
60
Yep.
$60.
$60. All right. So unanimous green. I absolutely not only would buy this, I will go back and buy another one of these because the what would you pay price on this is $21.99.
Son of a
What?
gun.
$21.99 a bottle for this all day, every day. Father, just for you, twice on Sundays. We will be back. More Implicit Bias Radio, our Sazerac pick from Sean Pines and Karen Crow. You don't want to miss it or the problems of the world that we're about to solve when we get judgy on this week's episode. Burley, do me a favor, ring the bell if you would. The conspiracy theorists were right again on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Welcome into the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair, where we're on video. If you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, please like, follow, subscribe, share. If you're listening to us on terrestrial radio, whether it's New Orleans, whether it's Monroe, Louisiana, whether it's our home city of Lafayette, Louisiana, happy Mardi Gras to you, because this is our last episode before Fat Tuesday, which then sends us into Lent. Caleb, it's great to have you back with us. It is great to have Burley Short Pour Pellerin at the bar. Father Joe Campion trying to keep, I was going to say us, but I think for my comment the last segment, it's me, Catholic and Christian. He's over there to try and absolve my soul as we go through the show, which means he's probably going to be so worn out when we're done. Yeah, he's not going to be able to lift the arm anymore. All right, so the conspiracy theorists were right again. The theme of this week's show is Be Judgy. And the reason why is because, you know, if your actions you believe are good and it's aligned to the truth, not your truth, well, then we really have nothing to fear. Actually, we should welcome the judgment because, well, that judgment is just going to yield a fair and fruitful reward. But if we know, and look, that's what we have. We all have a conscience, right? I say we all have a conscience.
We hope we all have a conscience.
Yeah, not everybody does, or some people's conscience are different than others. And I say different meaning special, and I say special meaning deviant. That's a whole nother thing. But some people's conscience don't align or doesn't align with the rest of society. I know that when I've done something wrong, I typically go, I should probably feel bad about that. And maybe I don't want that coming to light. But man, that old saying, the truth shall set you free, I think is no closer to the truth of, yeah, you want to judge me, fine. Let's go. Let's do it. Because at the end of the day, that's where we are. And the conspiracy theorists for the last, I don't know, almost 10 years, they're usually not afraid of being judged. It's almost a travesty that Renee Girard isn't on this show because Drunkle would be highly appreciated on an episode where we're going, yeah, you know that uncle that you made fun of at Thanksgiving dinner 8 years ago?
Old Uncle Buck.
You know that friend of your dad's who you're like, oh, he's a nice guy, but he was saying some stuff that I think was off the wall. Well, if there's one thing the Epstein files have pretty much laid out, ring the bell. They were right. So I sent out some things from the Epstein files to the crew this week. And we'll start because this is obviously going to take us more than one segment. These rabbit holes are deep. I mean, it was 3 million files. We covered a lot of this last week, but not even close to all of it. And my question to the crew as we go through this is, what's the most shocking thing to you that's come out of the Epstein files that you're like, either I can't believe everybody didn't already know this, or man, that's just disturbing.
It's all very disturbing. I think probably the most disheartening thing was the linkage between Bush Sr. and child sacrifice and eating the entrails of infants.
Okay, so let me give some context there because it is someone sends an email, and in the email they said, I saw this happen.
Yeah, and look, he hasn't said he did it. I don't think anyone would ever say he did that.
Bush Sr. is no longer with us to say he did it, right? So my point here is what we have is essentially what we call hearsay testimony. Someone said, I did. If you were to go to a court of law with that,
you have no credible evidence.
It's not credible evidence.
Yeah.
Here's where I think you get some support in your arguments is that the amount of references to things of that nature, and we're going to get into some of this on the show.
It's horrible.
I think it's beyond horrible.
We're talking 3 million pages, right? So if you have what 1% of that is a huge number, right? So when we look at the cross references that people mention,
1% of that would be 30,000 references.
yeah, and here we're talking about one former president who's deceased is mentioned that someone said they saw him do this. Other people are said to have been seen doing this as well. This isn't just one person that they said, "Oh, I saw this person do it." Other people are said to have participated and done this on different instances.
It's not just is it shocking to us. I'm of the belief that there's an ancillary part of this, which is this idea has been floated out in front of us almost mockingly, but as jokes. Like it's been joked about with certain people, and you're like, really?
What was the big thing? It was adrenochrome.
Okay, so
What is it?
adrenochrome, which is now I've never seen it. I can't say that I know it exists. There's a lot of physical evidence.
Well beyond
that
my
says
knowledge.
there's a lot of physical evidence that is very coincidental, right? It is circumstantial that I have seen that says this exists, right? But there's a lot of talk, and this comes into the whole Pizzagate thing.
Mm-hmm.
This goes into go look at, and because you can find them. Chrissy Teigen, for those who know who Chrissy Teigen, married to John Legend and all this, she went and took down a lot of horrific social media posts. Horrific social media posts. And the whole thing was, well, it was a joke. Well, if it was a joke, why'd you take it down? If it was a joke, why are you afraid of being judged? Or was it a joke and there was truth to it and you didn't think people were smart enough to catch on? Maybe that's a little more of it. And we're going to go down that rabbit hole even more on this show because I think the evidence has been there maybe longer than we think. Burley, what about you? The whole Epstein files thing. Are you even still able to pay attention to this?
No, I had a sidebar conversation this afternoon with someone who dives deep and has been diving deep, even talking about going back during COVID. This was basically their...
Oh, no, I will say this, and I will say this from experience. This information has been out there, and we're going to talk about this since 2017.
Yeah.
2017, 2018. I will tell you, I first saw references to this stuff back then.
They were bringing up today the idea of Rob Reiner's house
And the murder.
and the tunnels and the stairs and again Tom Hanks.
Oh, this is a deep rabbit hole. This is a very deep
I was
rabbit hole.
blown away. I'm trying to follow some of the things that you sent today, and it took me on a tangent if you click the wrong way, and it takes you. And to say that it's believable is, it sounds so crazy that it's almost. Can you believe it? But
you don't want to believe it. Like if you
it's-
have a moral compass and a high ground, you don't want to believe that this is possible.
And we've talked about this on the show, and I've said this before. I told you years ago. I told you in year one, 5 years ago. I told you that one of the phrases that I feel like I coined was because all of what was going on at the time, and I may not have coined it, but I had never heard it, and
We'll give
I've
you credit
used
for it
it a
Take
lot.
credit for it.
Yeah,
Just
we'll give
take
credit
it's
for it.
The
yours.
normalization of deviance. We have been fed and told
Yep.
that this is normal.
Yep.
From everything from the TV shows that we watched to the programs that we hear to the news that we're thinking is accurate. We're told that deviant behavior is normal. It's so normal that in every show there is a gay couple, a trans couple, a biracial couple, a this and that.
Everything has to be represented to make it
Everything
normal.
to make it normal.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you change the ability for the viewer to see that, wait a minute, those percentages are higher than what it actually is in real time in real life.
So let's call it what it is. And this is the reality. grooming does not only happen person to person. Grooming happens
by a lot.
well,
a lot.
psychological
In a lot.
psychological operations have been around for a long time. We have said on this show, I worked in TV. There's a reason they don't call it television stories. They call it television programming. Because what we see, what we watch, what we say, what we do, all becomes connected. The more we see it, the more we think it's normal, the more we think. And look, some of this stuff, who are we to say it is or isn't normal? But when you start getting to some of the stuff that's in these files,
it's ridiculous.
it is so far off the path, right? It's so far gone. But understand that's what programming is there for. That's what grooming does. It doesn't take you, and we're going to have to take a break in a second. It doesn't take you a mile at a time. It takes you inch by inch by inch by inch. And before you know it, you're 3 miles down the road and you're going, wait. I'm accepting for what? Much like you're accepting of more implicit bias radio. Final segment of hour one already, Walker?
Yep.
Comes up right after this break. Final segment of hour one of this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair. We are wishing you a very happy Mardi Gras in our beautiful purple, green, and gold double old-fashioned glasses from Bead Busters here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Alongside me here in the TSPL is our co-host, Caleb Morse. We have with us at the bar, Father Joe Campion, Burley Short Pour Pellerin. Father, so we were talking Epstein files, and we're going to continue going down this rabbit hole. My question for you is this, because you and I had a brief discussion before we started recording. The stories that I sent out, the things that are documentable in the emails, have you seen any of this outside of, unfortunately, basically the X platform? Have you seen any of that?
I have not. That's why I needed you to fill in the blanks for me earlier. So it's a hidden secret. You know, getting back to the previous segment, and it's kind of difficult as a priest because, you know, you want it to keep it Catholic and Christian, but there's a lot of viewers and listeners out there that know, well, the Catholic Church has its own issues as well, and we do. And this is why precisely there has to be judgments made in order to address these issues that come up. And so we really do have to address what's going on in the church ourselves. So I'm not standing on moral high ground, but this is my church. It's got its issues. We have to have bold voices within the church, but also we have to speak about this decadence that we now find with the Epstein subculture, which is really, it is a reflection of what we're finding everywhere. We've got, in the state of Louisiana alone, we've got human trafficking. We have sisters, nuns, the Hospitaller sisters that are working with these girls that have been trafficked. The pornography industry, all of this is just objectifying people. So, as Burley said, it was Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan that his label was defining deviancy downward, which is what our society has done. We have normalized deviant behavior, and it takes moral judgments. Again, I think the judgments aren't about people, is about in their relationship to Christ. We were having that discussion about Judas before. That's not for us to judge a person's salvation.
Correct.
But we have to judge actions. We have to judge things based on an objective standard of what is respectable of the human person and flourishing, and what is an attack. And the attacks are happening on our children today. So, you enlighten me more about what's going on precisely because it's not in the news. And probably the one that struck me most is in the last couple of days when, and again, it's political, but again, truth is truth. If you're trying to say associate a president to Epstein, and then you find out subsequently that it was that very president who's got a question mark over him was the one that raised the issue, which is what we have to do. We have to raise the issue of what's going on and let people know this is wrong.
So first of all, ring the bell, because Father hit a few things there that were just absolutely incredible. You know, I love that you call out, look, we have our own problems, right? But the reality is, it is reflective of everything everywhere. Human beings have a problem with behavior. I mean, go look at the number of high school teachers, male and female, that are getting busted with their students today. That is, I hate to say it, it's not much different. Now, we're going to go down a rabbit hole because some of the things that we're reading in these emails, in the Epstein files, some of those things are way beyond I had an affair with an 18-year-old student who just happened to be a student, and that's what made it inappropriate. Some of these things go way beyond that. But regardless, we have to recognize that they're all wrong. And we're going to judge the behavior not necessarily the person and their salvation in the end.
Well, and that's the thing. You used to objectively judge, and you hear people all the time. They say, well, the Bible tells us not to judge. Well, it says, judge not, yet lest you be judged. It also says, do they not know that one day they will judge the angels? When we judge people, we're not to look at them judgedly and be like, Walker's wearing those shorts again. No.
And he is. I can't believe
We're supposed
he
to do it
is.
from a position of love and affection. You're supposed to do
I
it.
don't love that he's wearing those shorts.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
You're supposed to do it because it's like, look, at the end of the day, we want heaven to be overflowing with souls. And we should want our brothers and sisters in Christ throughout our lives, all next to us. We should want them to be there with us on the Day of Atonement.
I think that's a great call out for this reason. A lot of times, I say we because I know the people in this room here in downtown Lafayette, we want to judge because we genuinely care and we want what's best for you. A lot of people don't want to be judged because they don't want what's best for the people who were judging them. They want what's best just for them, and what they deem is best, a lot of people, is whatever the heck they want. And if you look at us as a species, what people and human beings want is a lot of times really frightening.
Well, one of the things I heard the other day, and that's been stuck with me, is, so what's your favorite color, Kevon?
Mine? Oh, dear Lord. I don't know. Black.
So black's your favorite color,
Absence
right?
of color, so it's technically not a color, but whatever.
I can never explain to you enough to change your mind that red's a better color. Because black's your favorite color. Red's my favorite color. There's no way for you to change someone else's mind. It's up to them to change their own mind. And the problem we have when we look at how we view things, our own implicit bias, our own orientation, right? We view them through our lens. We judge others by their actions and us by our intent.
I love what you call out there, because what I was just about to say is you don't have to convince me that red is a better color. Why? Because I respect you as an individual.
That's what matters.
To know that red is your color. There is nothing that makes one color better or worse. However, when you start talking about the detriment of another human being and saying, oh, my pleasure is derived from the detriment of another human being, the harm, the hate, physical, mental, psychological, whatever, that is what makes me happy. I'm sorry, this is where I get judgy. There is something wrong with that thought process. There is something wrong
Well, and
with
we shouldn't-
condoning that and supporting that. And
We
that's
should
a
not
problem.
condone it. We should not support it. We should not be agreeable to it. Too many people are agreeable to that crap. And too many people just let it go and they say, well, that's their truth. That's not their truth. That's their deviancy, and you don't have to accept it.
Again, like I said, that's the normalization of deviance, because they're being told and shown that it's okay, it's okay, it's okay at every level of what they thought was a reputable and a valuable resource.
Yeah.
And that's where things are being clouded. So it in essence, it throws everybody's moral compass off. And there are many people walking around with a broken moral compass because they think what they see is right and truth. And they go on to it, and they have enough people screaming loud enough with them to say that it is.
So let's talk
Because
about
the
that.
platform is given to those with that negativity and that desire for the continuation of the deviant.
So ring the bell, because we need to talk about that for a second. It goes back to why Father was like, I didn't know any of this.
Well, he's not going to hear it.
That's my point, right? That is my point, because the media that should be covering these things is instead desirous not to cover these things. Why? Because they are worried about judgment and people finding out. I mean, when you start looking down the list of people that have been not necessarily exposed, but have serious questions that now should arise from what we have seen versus what we have heard. So, Father, I have a question for you, because while you did not necessarily hear everything that was in the Epstein files, did you in fact hear the narrative Donald Trump is part of a child trafficking network and is all over the Epstein files hundreds of thousands or a million times?
Exactly. And that's why it got politicized. And there was the agenda was to try to, as always, to take down the president. This by detraction, calumny, and false accusations, which, as we find out now, and again, the media is not going to say too much about it, it's the complite opposite. He had nothing, not only did he have nothing to do with it, he positively, like most people, don't say a word. The silence is what causes this evil to continue. he actually brought it to the attention of law enforcement, which is what you should do.
So we're going to go into this in hour 2, but at the end of the day, this is what you need to know if you want to know more about how the greatest rope-a-dope maybe in the history of mankind happened. Yeah, Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, but as far as saying he's guilty of anything, some people might have something to worry about. There might be some lawsuits filed because what's in the files doesn't prove his guilt. It proves his innocence. That comes up when we have more Weekly Whiskey. We have more fun in hour 2 of Implicit Bias Radio. By the way, if you're not getting hour 2 at your radio station, call the station. Tell them, hey, we want hour 2 of Implicit Bias Radio. And if they don't do it, go find us anywhere you get podcasts, Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube. You can get all of your Implicit Bias. We'll see you in hour 2. King Cake Break is in the books here on Implicit Bias Radio. What'd you think of that Gambino's King Cake, Caleb?
5,000 calories later.
But it was so good.
It was worth it.
Dude,
And look,
I saw those pieces you were cutting.
I've-
I cut slivers.
No.
I don't know if you were just trying to calorie up.
Caleb
don't
was
do-
using
I
a
don't do-
front end loader to shove that piece of
good
king
Lord,
cake in his
man.
face.
I don't dip my toes in the deep end, bro. I'm diving in, right?
whiz.
And look, I've never had the wedding cake one before out of fear, and that one was pretty damn good.
It's amazing what the almond cake does
Mm-hmm.
and the almond flavoring does to a king cake. And I must admit, I am torn because y'all know the rule. If it's filled, it's a fucking Danish. It's not a king cake.
It
might have
delicious,
purple,
though?
green, and gold icing, but it's a purple, green, and gold icing Danish, as opposed to a king cake, which is
So is it the
sweet
filling that
brioche
makes the difference for you, or is it the icing?
It's the filling. Because
I want to say something, so we won't. Okay.
no, it's the filling. The filling ruins it for everybody. Anyway, well, let me be specific. The filling ruins it for me. That's a whole nother story. The difference, though, with the wedding cake king cake is it's actually it's the dough. The dough is a little
Yes.
different, so it's got the almond flavoring.
And there's a
in
little
the dough.
filling in the back end, and they don't do like, look, I've had some other king cakes where it's you bite into it and it's all over your face and it's going down your neck, and then you got to shower again.
Oh, I'm not going there either.
Yeah. And they don't overdo it. You know, Jackie and I went by the other day and we actually had the pecan cream cheese one. I think it was pecan cream cheese, 99% sure. And I mean, Eli recommended it, right? So, but it was amazing. It was amazing.
I'm glad it tasted good, but it's not a king cake if it's got all that stuff in it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a Danish, but it's okay because it's a
It
purple,
took me
green,
a
and gold
week to
Danish.
eat
Well,
it.
just real quick, I'm curious to know, because you being from New Orleans,
Yeah.
what is your king cake? Because that fluff and dough tonight.
Okay.
I'm going to describe. I'm not a big sweets eater for one. I'm not a big king cake. The thicker the thing, to me, it gets further away from king cake for me. King cake for me should be low profile and dense.
Okay.
And a sliver would cover you. That's why I, in general, like one local place. Not
Okay.
necessarily going to say it.
So,
But it's
here's-
different.
Here's where there's two things that actually qualify for king cake, right? There's a traditional French king cake, which is very different from what Louisianians know and the United States knows as a king cake. And that traditional French is smaller, lower profile, more dense, not as sweet, right? And it doesn't even necessarily have all the purple, green, and gold
No.
on it, right?
No.
Then there's a traditional New Orleans king cake, which is kind of what we have become to know, which is exactly the first king cake we had from Gambino's, which is it's dough, it's purple, green, and gold icing or sugar, really more to that
Yeah,
fact. And they'll make
the
it that way
granulated
for you.
sugar is what I
You don't
prefer.
have to have the icing on it. The icing, so growing up in New Orleans, as we go on this rabbit hole that I didn't intend to go down, but it's a good discussion. So growing up in New Orleans, born in 1972, king cake in the 70s, you got the traditional New Orleans king cakes, which was dough, sugar, sweet dough, little cinnamon. That's a king cake. Then all of a
Well,
sudden,
in the 70s, there was a fuel shortage too, so you probably couldn't get all the ingredients you needed.
then again,
Whiz, come on.
towards the end of the 70s, you start hearing people say, oh, there's another style of king cake that's come about. And that's when you started to see icing on a king cake. That's when you started to see
Yeah, but look, your
like
argument with the
white
king cake is like,
icing.
look,
Then
a
in
French
the-
kiss is still a kiss. Which one's
No.
better?
No. No,
Come on,
king
man.
cake does not flow on the
Caleb.
Father. You have been joking with me.
Wait, and you're questioning my pores? Take the bottle from me.
No joke. So then you started to fill said king cakes, right? So literally, when I was a kid, a king cake was not a cinnamon roll with icing on it. It just wasn't. And then others started to break away from that. And then you had some of the more popular names in New Orleans that started doing it, and it kind of became a thing. One of the original bakeries in New Orleans, for those who would remember Mackenzie's Mackenzie's, Gambino's, those are kind of the two big ones in New Orleans. And you can go back a ways. Gambino's has been around forever.
Well, and look, all the sugared stuff sells.
Well, that's unfortunate, right? It does. And that's why you started to see even Mackenzie's was like, we're going to offer you our traditional king cake, and we're going to offer the cinnamon roll with icing, which is a different style of king cake. And that's kind of the way that you started to see the great king cake perversion of the 1980s.
And then Mackenzie's offered the cockroach style.
They did.
Yes.
That was part of their downfall.
That's it.
Again, the best places to eat are the places I don't want to see the kitchen. If I'd have never known, it wouldn't have bothered me. It didn't bother me, and I didn't know, and I'm sure it was going on, so I'm fine.
Well, Kavan, I hate to admit it, but I think you're right on this, on the king cakes. I'm from New York, so when I came to Louisiana in 85, so for me, that was Mackenzie's, and it is really what it is. A lot of them are like a Danish, which I like Danish. And I like Bavarian cream and raspberry and all that, but what we just had in the Gambinos that we just had, that's you could tell, it's cake.
Oh, yeah,
It's
and it
real
should be.
cake, yeah.
And it
So
should
I
be.
could see what you're saying, but I've gotten so used to my king cakes as being filled with something that I like it that way. So,
And-
but
and
it's
we must
probably
be clear-
not the way it was.
And we must be clear, a donut is not a king cake. Period. Full stop. End of story. A donut is not a king cake. We love donuts. They're delicious, but it's not a king cake. Anyway, let's dive back into the problems of the world that we need to solve as we are making nice work of this bottle of Sazerac Rye, a pick from Champagne's Market in Karen Crow at $21.99. You don't want to miss it. To quote Eddie Murphy, what a bargain. Anyway, we were going down the rabbit hole.
Hang on. Say that price one more time.
$21.99.
$21.99. For $21.99, you all should consider this a blue and go get it.
I have a hard time saying no to that. I do.
I mean, honestly, for $21.99, you should all have it. You should go seek it out because you're not going to find this anywhere else.
At this
for
quality.
for this to be a pick, this was a barrel pick.
Yep.
It was a single
So
barrel
it's
pick.
it is a pick.
A batch pick.
Correct. It's a batch pick. Yep.
Walker,
Okay.
would you call this the Michelob Ultra's rye? Like
No,
if you're a
come
Michelob
on.
Ultra
Oh,
drinker,
Come
would
on,
you,
man. Don't.
would you say
No.
What?
Cut him off.
Yeah, I'm about to
Cut
say,
him
man,
off.
no, yeah.
Seriously though, everyone should have this on their bar. There's no reason not to have
Agreed.
it on your bar.
Agreed.
Whether you like rye or not, whether you like low proof or not, whatever, for $21.99
It's so
it
well
needs to
rounded.
be on your
And
bar.
that's the thing is it's so well rounded and the price is just right.
And what I was going to say about Walker is this. For those who don't know, Walker's an absolute cheapskate, right? Walker's just an absolute cheapskate. Walker will go buy 4 of these because of how good it is and the price. I'll be willing to bet Walker will buy 3 or 4 of these. Is that would you take that bet, Walker?
Yeah, I'd take that bet.
Oh, you're not going to buy 4 is what you're saying? Or you think you will buy
No,
4?
I definitely will.
There you go. So you.
But
yeah.
I did go buy the Blanton's Gold, so I'm not too much of a
there
cheapskate.
you go.
There you go.
He
Thank you.
knows the value.
I was gonna say, wait a minute, man. Come on, you hating on my boy over there? I don't.
Oh, we
I
love
don't
Walker.
think so, man.
It's when we ignore Walker is when you know we don't like him. That's the rule, right? We live by the Animal House rule. They can't do that to our pledges.
Only we can
do
do
that
that
to
to
our
our
pledges. Correct. Okay. Speaking of clubs that we're not in, the Epstein files, which I'm yet to come up in the Epstein files. Thank goodness. Caleb, you are, as far as I know, yet to come up in the Epstein files. Burley only came up once.
I'd be just as surprised as everyone else.
All right.
Thank goodness.
So one of the rabbit holes we need to go down with this. When I say you don't hate these people enough, we were talking last segment about the media and perhaps the greatest rope-a-dope in the history of rope-a-dopes. Last week's show was reverse Uno. And then Monday, we got proven 100% right. Because let's talk about the progression of the Epstein files and the release of said files. In Trump's first term, Trump said, I want to release the files. We should release the files. And the files never got released. Then Joe Biden got in office. And not one Democrat, please don't believe me on this, not one Democrat bothered to even look up and say, hey, we need to release the Epstein files. None of them. None of them. Then Donald Trump ran on, I will release the Epstein files. Donald Trump wins. He says he's going to release the Epstein files. We get some files released. It goes to a bunch of people who are social media influencers.
Yeah.
And inside of those binders is absolutely nothing. Then Trump says, yeah, there's nothing. He actually says at one point it's a hoax.
Well, yeah, when
Right? We're told it's
God,
nothing. Then he gets on a reporter. Why are you still talking about this? We shouldn't be talking about
There's
this.
so much with it too, you know.
And the whole time, you had to believe he's going, man, watch this. Because I'm going to tell them, don't worry about it. They are going to start screaming, oh, he must be guilty. And sure enough, what happened? Democrats started coming out of the woodwork. Oh, release the files, release the files. And look, we wanted them released the whole time. When Biden was in office, Trump's first term, this term, we want him released. He's not releasing them. We're trying to figure it out. But then you had maybe, I don't want to say one of the greatest injustices in judgment, but when the files recently got released, the only narrative you seemed to hear was Trump is in the files. Trump is guilty. Actually, there was someone who went on CNN. Please don't believe me on this. And said, are we going to talk about the fact that Trump is complicit in a sex trafficking network? He is part of a global sex trafficking network. Guy said this on CNN, the communist news network. And here we are today, knowing that the reverse Uno worked. Why? Because Monday of this week that we recorded this episode, sure enough, it came out that Trump is in the Epstein files. But there's what's called an FBI 302. That is a report that an FBI agent writes on an interview, on a piece of evidence, or of anything like that. And in that is an interview with a sheriff from Florida. And that sheriff happens to say, yeah, Trump came to us in 2006 and said, you need to investigate this Epstein guy. He's doing bad things. Everybody knows it. You need to investigate this Ghislaine Maxwell. She's a horrible human being. Those
evil,
are
he said.
Yeah, those are synopsis on our end. But
Yep.
legitimately, what we now know is that the people who said Trump is in the files, Trump is guilty, we now know that the files exonerate Donald Trump with regards to Jeffrey Epstein. And this is where we can get a little judgy. This is where I'm going to get judgy. And Father, you're going to be the one trying to keep me Catholic. Because if you can't handle the truth and change your mind, that behavior is the problem, not making a mistake. Somebody who says, man, I thought he was in there. I saw this. I guess I was wrong. There's no mistake there. There's no issue with judgment there. I'm going to look at you and go, you know what? I actually respect that you can change your own mind, to Caleb's point from the first hour.
And look, the number of people that are mentioned in it and the number of atrocities that are mentioned in it, this is overwhelming. The depths of which mankind has gone, and that these people are sinking to seek some form of just twisted and depraved pleasure is horrible. And I do hope that as more comes out, as we learn more about it, that people are held accountable. I really do.
I think that's the big question mark. I think that's the big concern. And it's this. It's that, so first of all, and we'll get to this in this hour, there are a lot of people who were owed apologies for judgment back in 2018, 2019, 2020. There are a lot of people who were vilified by the national media. A lot of them. And today, the national media owes these people an apology. If you latched on to what the national media was saying about said people, guess what? You owe them an apology too. Burley, while you're playing with bottles up there on the bar, you apparently wanted to say something.
It goes again with what I was saying earlier, how when you control the narrative, so the likelihood of them ever issuing any kind of apology or anything is almost non-existent.
We actually kind of got one this week, and we'll go into that in a minute.
But one of the other things I wanted to say, and it keeps going back and forth because we keep kind of bouncing around a little bit, but with the opening up of all of these files and videos and clips and everything else, along with the proliferation lately of AI,
Fair.
it golly, I mean, you can't even trust a tape anymore. You
Okay.
can't. I mean, the stuff has gotten so good.
So let's go here because I
And
love
Caleb. I need a little more.
Dear
I love how you
Lord.
said you can't trust a tape. You realize we haven't used VHS since
Or
20,
we haven't-
Because that was a tape.
We have-
That would have been tapes.
television
Also,
hasn't
can't trust a turd these days either, or a fart as it
Yeah,
were.
that's
television hasn't used Betamax since about 07 or 08.
Betamax, I forgot.
But that's what
Oh, the old
television used was
Betamax.
digital
Exactly,
Betamax.
it was
Okay.
Betamax.
So look, so I need you to ring the bell because we're going to go through some of the things that the conspiracy theorists were right about. So let's see. People swore that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Well, guess what's discussed in the Epstein files? So it is now discussed in the Epstein files, and I'm going to give you some of the evidence that's there. That number one, Jeffrey Epstein apparently was a huge player of Fortnite, which means that his favorite playing partner was Walker, as well as Rocket League. And guess what? His login and username have been used within the last year on those platforms. There are discussions in the Epstein files about scheduling a meeting in 2021 and 2022 with a guy who allegedly died in 2019. There are people who said, oh, the body that came out, the earlobes don't match, that's not him. And you have discussions of them using a body double for Jeffrey Epstein. Right? You now have, I mean, let's keep going down the list. So Trump's exonerated because Trump threw him out of the club. That's in there. Trump turned him in. That's in there.
And the pictures that they keep using were of that time frame when they were actually
Correct.
at his
90s,
place.
yeah.
None of which where he was at theirs.
Correct. You now have Les Wexner, who we discussed on this show years ago.
Not to be confused with Les Nessman,
No,
folks.
no,
And the
no.
infamous Turkey Bowl.
Wexner, for those who don't know,
Turkey drop.
Epstein had one major client. He had one major money market client. I say money market. He had one major financial client. He was basically a financial advisor for one person. He managed one person's money. Guy's last name is Wexner. And y'all know what Wexner owns or owned.
I do not.
Burley? Oh, I'm shocked you don't know this. Victoria's Secret. He is a multi-billionaire and the major benefactor and the guy who was basically funding and whose money was being managed by Jeffrey Epstein. Guess whose name has been now put out there as a co-conspirator in the Jeffrey Epstein case? Wexner.
Well, that would make sense because, oddly enough, I know people that were models back in the day. And they did, I know a male model, and he did a bunch of different modeling for individual groups, and he talked about some of the problems they had because he was older at the time.
And he was too old.
How they were trying to lure people and get them involved in certain activities.
So you've got his major benefactor. You've got the fact that we might go a little long here, Walker. You've got his major benefactor. You've got the fact that they're talking about body doubles. You've got the fact that they were talking about him playing video games, that he didn't kill himself, and you're all conspiracy theorists. Even Kash Patel, oh no, he definitely committed suicide. Now in the Epstein files, you've got discussions trying to schedule a meeting with a guy who's dead a year before you're trying to schedule a meeting with him. Something's not right here. And maybe we all owe that judgment to our conspiracy theorist friends, and we owe them an apology. When we come back, we're going to talk about the people that even Bill Maher says deserve an apology on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Time to cut Caleb Morse off here in the Mr. Lester's Top Secret Podcast layer. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. This is Implicit Bias Radio. And yes, happy Mardi Gras from somewhere in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana. For our listeners, whether it be in different parts of the United States, different cities, all around the world, we've been downloaded in over 89 countries. I mean, we just thank you for listening. We hope that you enjoy this Mardi Gras episode of Implicit Bias Radio. At the bar, he is short, poor, burly Pellerin. Keeping us Catholic and Christian is Father Joe Campion. He's about tired. His arm's about to fall off from trying to make the sign of the cross over me here this week. But we have to go back to the people who were owed an apology because they were judged, and they were judged incorrectly. They were judged by your truth, not the truth. So Bill Maher this week, who notoriously made fun of people who believed in what was dubbed a mass conspiracy theory, came out and said, maybe we owe the QAnon people an apology after reading the Epstein files and after seeing what was out there. So that's going to require for probably a lot of people some explanation.
Some splaining.
Some splaining. We got, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. We got some splaining to do. So for those who don't know, 17 was the year it started. And it started on a platform called 4chan. 4chan was an anonymous message board designed for military grade security and anonymity. And you had a random poster that went by the letter Q that posted all of these crazy things. The first post from said Q was something to the effect of Hillary Clinton has been arrested, which I have not seen Hillary Clinton get arrested yet. But it did open a lot of eyes and draw a lot of attention. Well, periodically, this Q would post on 4chan, which is the platform. And the posts were sometimes relatively cryptic that had clues, but not conclusions. And anons, people who would just sit there and start researching on the internet, started going through these clues. And as they started putting the clues together, what was basically put out there was that there's this cabal of people who rule the world. And that cabal is a bunch of Satan worshiping, cannibalistic, pedophiles, yeah, for lack of a better term, who, in order to be a member of their club, you have to commit these atrocities. Out of Q stemmed some, and it intertwined with what was known as Pizzagate and that theory. But essentially, it was that Hollywood, the music industry, politicians were all one big club full of Satanists, Baal worshipers, Moloch worshipers, whatever, that abused children, used adrenochrome to attempt to stay young, were cannibals, that they recorded it, and there were certain rituals that had to be followed, and that they had to actually put this out in front of people in order for some sort of karma not to come back to them, for them to get harmed. And when I say put it out in front of people, I mean symbolism in front of people. So, you know, the all-seeing eye, all the pictures you see of certain celebrities with a black eye, with a black left eye. The black eye was supposedly a thing, or is supposedly a thing. You know, pictures of people being taken with one hand covering the eye.
Plain view, those kinds of things, where if you knew what to look for, you would see it.
You knew what it was.
You knew what it was.
It was inside code. It was a secret handshake without it being a handshake.
Exactly.
Right?
It's coded.
And the media went after these people. I mean, these people are crazy. They're loons and all this. And now Bill Maher is saying, I read the Epstein files, and it seems like everything that these the Anons were looking into.
Who's going to come up and accept the apology for QAnon?
That was his thing, was like, he didn't really apologize, but he kind of alluded to that.
Alluded to the idea, like, okay, but who's going to come up and accept the apology? Because one's owed, one's due. But where does that person come from? Who is that person?
Well, so I did some research into this, right? So first of all this stuff has been out there since 2017. That's how some people have been on the Epstein case for almost a decade. So if you know someone who's been like, hey, this Epstein guy, he's connected to everybody. He's intelligence. He's doing all this stuff. He's funded. He's got people at the highest levels. It's all intertwined. It's all connected. The financial system is connected to it. The banks are connected to it. The Fed is connected. It's all connected. If you know that person who's been talking about that and you've gone, man, that's my crazy uncle. And man, it's maybe you owe them an apology.
Mm-hmm. That's just your awake, not woke, your awake uncle.
And now the Epstein files are backing that up. And that's the really crazy part, right? As we look into this and you go, man, so you're telling me that there's discussions of people taking trips to Africa in the Epstein files and saying, hey, I can bring you back a little boy or a little girl. Would you like one? It's in there. When they start talking about code words. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where it gets really, really dark. The FBI has already identified, please don't believe me, and I'm going to apologize if this offends your senses, because this isn't the pleasant part of being actually awake and seeing some of this stuff. According to the FBI, the overused term of pizza where it's really not supposed to be used and doesn't make sense, the context isn't correct, probably doesn't refer to dough covered in tomato sauce with cheese and pepperoni.
The American Italian dish.
It is probably referring to a girl. Underage. A hot dog is not mystery meat encased with spices in a bun and cooked. It's actually a boy. Cheese pizza is a young girl. And this information is out there. You can see it. Please don't believe us on this. The term jerky is one that has come to light this week. And this one's really disturbing.
Yeah.
So the term jerky apparently refers to what you were talking about earlier, Caleb, which is the actual ingestion of human flesh. And there's actually reference to a chef who owned a restaurant or owns a restaurant called The Cannibal in New York. At what point, when these people tell you who they are, do we believe them?
Well, it's the thing is it's been subtly in front of us the entire time, and we always thought, no, it can't be right.
Oh, let's talk about that. So when I saw the term jerky, what immediately popped into my head? Caleb, you know me well enough to know the movie references that I go through. Burley, I know you know
I'm
this
drawing a
movie.
blank, I'll be honest with you.
Wait, say it one more time.
When I heard the term jerky as a code word for something else, something immediately jumped into my head and I was like, oh my goodness, they've been putting it in front of our face the whole time. Or I actually asked the question. I didn't think they have. I thought, have they? Because it was in a movie. It was prominent in a movie decades ago. Immediately, I went to beef jerky time from Trading Places.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why would someone from
'Cause
allegedly
he-
playing
Yeah.
someone from?
Yeah.
But no, but Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
But my question is, was that a subtle reference?
Was it there? Yeah.
Right? Was that a subtle reference? Then I go to a guy.
That would have been 1980.
1980 something. Yeah. Then I go to a reference in the 90s. And I go, man, you know, one of my favorite characters in some of the 90s, early 2000s movies was actually a guy who's now been connected to intelligence agencies. And this guy, you
Mr.
know,
Bean?
no, but you're close. You're close because this guy played a character and I'll never forget. Oh, I got a turtle head poking out. It's all squishy, making me emotional. And what did fat bastard want to eat?
Bastard.
What did fat bastard want to eat?
In my belly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat the baby.
Yeah.
The baby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait. He's looking back. It now makes me wonder, with the connections that we know and have been reported about some of these people, have they been dangling this in front of our face the whole time as a, you know, some sort of
And probably laughing about
secret
it. as
handshake
as
behind-
they're
That's
doing
yeah.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the makeup on that you're not recognizing it's special makeup.
And do we know these people now maybe should need an apology? Because trust me, the Epstein files, it's got it all. We're going to delve into a couple more stories before the end of this week's episode. Penultimate segment already, Walker?
Yep.
Wow. Second to last segment of this week's episode of Implicit Bias right after this. Penultimate segment of this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, and man, we have gotten a little judgy on this week's episode, but maybe we should be, given what has been in the Epstein files. And, you know, we had this segment about you don't hate these people enough, where we talked about the media and the alleged whistleblower who went to Tulsi Gabbard, and it was reported by multiple sources that it was talking to someone close to Donald Trump, and Gabbard covered it up when then they came back and redacted the story and corrected it and said, no, it was someone talking to someone else about someone who was close to Donald Trump. And all I can think about with the way the media has acted is that, man, the wag the dog scenario here is alive and strong. And I think we have significant evidence that they are reaching the final straws of what they can throw out there to try and distract people from what's actually gone on. Because let's think about everything that has gone on in all of this. You've got Epstein connected to everything from Bitcoin to royals to Lord knows what else.
Debauchery, just
Right? Just all kinds of stuff. You've got the 2020 election, which is now really in question because you have a raid of the Fulton County Elections Board warehouse where, for some reason, they were fighting this and tried to get a judge to overrule the subpoena to get it and to keep them from looking at the ballots. And we find out that they're supposed to have, a certain number of boxes and they're 40 short, which apparently equates to about 17,000 ballots in an election that was decided allegedly by 11,000 votes. So you need distractions. And let's talk about the distractions we've gotten this week. Well, let's see. Savannah Guthrie's mom, huge distraction. The media has covered that more than anything else. And look, our prayers go out to Savannah Guthrie and her family because we have no idea who's involved in this, all this. I mean, it could be a family member. It could be anybody. At the end of the day, someone is not where they're supposed to be with whom they're supposed to be. And we generally wish for their return safely. But let's be honest. How many people does that happen to on a daily basis in this country? And it doesn't eat up the news headlines like it has lately. The reality is it happens every day to somebody. And the media doesn't cover it. The media doesn't displace other stories to cover it. So regardless, you've got a distraction.
Is it because theoretically, or not theoretically, but is it because she's kind of one of their own? And I get that. I might get that.
Well, I might think it's because, Savannah Guthrie's husband is highly politically connected and has been for decades. It might be because her mother was very social on social media about politics. It could be about
in general, it's because she's a face in the media, correct? Savannah. I don't know her.
Here's what. So as a member of the media, she is a sympathetic character for viewers, for listeners.
Okay.
Women specifically, I mean, we're going to talk about the demographics here. Women specifically are going to look at her and go, I always wanted to be like Savannah Guthrie. And oh my goodness, her mother's missing. It's like my mom's missing. Okay. That's how I feel. I mean,
I get that. And then the media themselves are pulling her in because she's part of that greater picture, right?
Correct.
But at the same time, they're also questioning the optics of the sit downs that they're doing with the people that are with her.
Which is a whole nother part of the story. I mean, there's a lot of things here. So when I say wag the dog, I've always said, be careful of the attention you're going to get because sometimes you're not going to want it.
You're not going to want it, and you're gonna either attract fleas or you're going to highlight how many fleas you have.
So I think the biggest wag the dog story that has come out, and to me, this is the big one because you are the one.
Big one. This is the typical.
One. This is a big one, but the big one is that now apparently a private forensic pathologist and crime scene analyst has come out and said after what? 20, 30, some odd years, that Kurt Cobain did not kill himself. That Kurt Cobain was not a victim of suicide. That Kurt Cobain was murdered. Now, there have always been questions by a lot of people.
We all thought Courtney did it.
Well, so let's give some of the reasons why we thought Courtney did it. First of all, there was a drummer for a punk rock band who died days, weeks, months after saying Courtney Love offered me $50,000 to kill Kurt Cobain. That's on the record. The video's out there. Please don't believe me. You can go see it. So there's that. But there are other things that you're like, let's talk about how this happens. So the shotgun that allegedly killed Kurt Cobain,
Remington Model 11,
had zero fingerprints, zero markings,
20
nothing
gauge
on it.
We don't know the exact barrel length, but that's a hunting shotgun based off the Browning A5 design, reciprocating barrel, heavy, probably
very heavy,
26 to a 30-inch barreled shotgun.
Long story short, there should be fingerprints all over this weapon if he killed himself.
In short, that would have been hard to do.
Very difficult.
On your own.
So
when you look at just reach alone,
28-inch barrel is
okay.
That's hard.
So I'll take you a different route. Anyone who has fired a semi-automatic shotgun or even a pump shotgun knows that when the action moves on the weapon. So with a semi-automatic shotgun, Remington Model 1100, which is what that is, the semi-automatic shotgun.
There's a Model 11, but yeah.
Model 8.
Model 11,
Yeah.
sorry. but it's still a semi-automatic
Still
shotgun.
is semi.
When the weapon is fired, the pressure from the shell going off actually pushes everything back. It ejects the shell that is remaining, loads another one, locks it into the breech, and it's ready to fire again. Now, 90+% of weapons that are semi-automatic in existence are a right-handed weapon. In other words, the shell ejection port faces to the right of the weapon, so that when it is shouldered by a right-hand shooter, the shell does not eject across their face to the left. The shell ejects to the right. When the weapon and the shell casing were found, the shell were found in Cobain's home after he was shot in the face. The shell was found way on the left side of the weapon.
And the shotgun was found, lying across him?
Something of that nature.
Yeah.
Which
It doesn't make sense.
No, the sheer recoil of the weapon, just the action would have thrown it not in a neat manner, but the shell would have gone probably 5 feet to the right, 2 feet to the right.
Even if it was resting on the ground and he was using his foot or anything else, at that point in time, the recoil alone, there's nothing left to hold it. I think it's a 20 gauge. I don't know what size shot he was using, but a 20 gauge to the face, you're not holding on to that anymore.
No.
So it would have, the inertia itself would have moved it away at least a couple feet, just a couple feet.
Even if, and we don't want to get overly graphic here, but even if the barrel had been inserted
Right.
in a cavity in the face,
Which, as far as we know, it wasn't.
there would have been, and if that had happened, there'd have been, I hate to say teeth everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
the
They
damage
found-
would have been horrific.
They found
Even worse than it
gunpowder
was.
residue, gunpowder burns that were conducive to muzzle pressure, so the muzzle against. But they also found, was it 4 times the lethal amount of heroin?
So this is the big one. The big one is any forensic pathologist who has looked at this case and really looked at it, and this is the biggest one. He had enough heroin in him that he would not have been awake to fire the shotgun. And this is not like you shoot up, you grab the shotgun, and you pull the trigger. It would have been almost instantaneous. It was so much.
I mean, I don't know how much heroin it takes to do that to you. Walker, can you give me an explanation? Oh, you'd rather not say your dad.
Let me
your
give
dad
you
was-
my
dad might
expertise
hear it.
on it here.
But now you've got a big question. If he had enough heroin in him to kill him, why do that? And then how do you make it even look more like a suicide, which is you create a suicide note. And here's the really interesting part. The note, for those who have examined it, please go look, make up your own mind. There are a lot of people who theorize that the last part of the note was not written by Cobain, that it was an initial note to just say that he was going to stop performing, he was done with music, and basically it said, "I'm done" was the last line. But it never said, "I'm killing myself," but the last paragraph looked like it had almost been written by somebody else. There's a lot to go around this, and we'll leave you to make up your own mind. You should go look at it. We're going to come back with the dumbest guy thing we can think of on this Mardi Gras episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Would you stop touching me, Burley? Dear Lord. I mean, I feel like we're kids in the back of the car, and I'm waiting to hear Dad go, "Stop it or I'm pulling this car over." This is Implicit Bias Radio, and yes, we are solving the problems of the world. We've been judgy of things and behaviors and probably some people. Father Joe Campion's here trying to keep us Christian and Catholic. And Father, I hope it hasn't been too rough on you here this episode.
No, but you went down that area with Kurt Cobain, which I did not know a thing about him.
Oh, yeah.
It's real. That is quite an eye-opener. And then I didn't know anything about Courtney Love, none of that. And then all that money, that real estate, that's...
There's
but more than anything, my heart is disturbed when I see the diabolical stuff you brought up with Epstein and all the code words, which I think are absolutely true. I am going to read those Epstein files when I get a chance to inform myself. Some
all 3
more.
million pages. Make sure you get them all.
But still, I mean,
It's a lot.
there's got to be a way to navigate those things by code words but anyway, and by indexing them. But it's sad. It's just sad where our world is and how our children are being treated. And I all I can think of is it's diabolical. It's not just people with deviancy. It is a pact with a devil.
I'm about to say, it is
true.
evil. It is evil at a
It's
whole
the
nother
worst.
level.
Oh my God, it's really rough.
And I think it's a
You know,
difference.
most times things that are evil like that end in suicide,
Well,
or if not suicide, it's going to end in death and division
Yeah.
and retaliation.
yeah. And I think there's a difference between evil and sin, right? Sin is those things that we can't. I don't want to say can't help ourselves from doing, but it's just it's in our nature, and it is more harmful, I think, in the end to us than it is to anybody else.
Right. And
Right?
I think a distinction on sin is that there's some sins that are rooted in weakness and some that are rooted in malice.
Okay, that's a better way to put
And
it.
that is malicious, what
Yeah.
we're talking about here. And it deserves that type of judgment. It's malicious. It's hate-filled toward,
And
toward other
sin-
human beings. And they don't have any say in it. There's no say whatsoever.
Sin can have that one victim. Like you can sin against yourself, and only you're the one that's paying for the crime. Evil hurts many.
Well, and when you take sin to that level, bless you.
Thank you.
When you take sin to that level where you're purposefully, intentionally, wittingly, knowingly
Yeah,
pulling in
Innocent.
hurting
innocence
Yeah.
and bestowing evil on to others, that's sin to the that's another level.
So
When Jesus says, "Better that a millstone be tied around your neck and thrown into the sea," that's how judgy he is on that issue.
well, and that's where our implicit bias. So ring the bell because we're going to talk about something that is malicious, and it's just to prove how dumb guys are, because we are. We're
Dude, this was the most. I know-
Burley
I know where
automatically
you're
knows where
going.
I'm going. Okay,
I know where you're going.
so apparently there is a new sport,
God.
and
I don't even want to call it a sport.
well, okay, so
New pain.
when you were a kid, did you make up games with your friends and play different games? I'm sorry, Caleb, you didn't have any friends. What about you, Burley?
I did it as an adult.
we did.
Yeah, you'd make up games,
We,
right?
we did.
You'd
but,
have street ball, and you'd make up different versions of it, different
but I
versions of tag
I
and all
don't
this.
think there was any risk of death.
Okay, so let's tell what this is. This is the dumbest person on the planet, the dumbest guy, or let me rephrase that, the least creative guy.
Group of guys,
Well,
because
no,
someone
one-
was talked into this.
One guy came up with this, and somebody else went,
Did you see
"Uh-huh."
this, Father? Do you know what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
he
Somebody was
does.
like, "This is a great idea." Like, look,
Okay.
for a little while, we were issued tasers when I was in the military.
We have
or
to
stun
explain
guns,
it.
and
We have to
shocked
explain
each
what
other.
it is.
They took these away. We weren't running full steam at each other.
Okay, so that is what this game is. Literally, some guy said, "Look, we're gonna go. I'm gonna
Bet
go
you
back
chicken.
15 yards. You're gonna go back 15 yards, and we're not gonna play chicken. We're gonna run full speed at each other. We're gonna hit each other, and whoever doesn't die wins." And literally, you have these guys. I mean, like they've got spectators watching this. I don't know even where this was. I don't want to know.
These are 200-pounders plus.
Oh,
Look,
Easy.
the number of
these-
concussions that I've had.
This
is
is
bad enough.
Caleb
You
and
don't
I
want this.
running against each other,
Yeah.
running towards each other. This is ridiculous.
This is 240, 250, full speed, no pads, straight at each other like a freight train. And I mean, just
Like 3 people into this, I saw those heads collide, and I was like, "He's not tasting bad. He's
Not-
tasting batteries for the
not
rest of his
even
life."
not even with that. With when the shoulder hits somebody else in the chest and that neck just
whiplash.
a body in motion
100%
continues
whiplash.
in motion, and the only counter to that is either a direct stop or whatever. But when it's not, that head still goes, and it knocked him out.
Okay,
100
so-
immediately.
so guys, if you would like to avoid getting hit that hard, Valentine's Day, if you're listening on terrestrial radio, is tonight. You can still go to William S. Nacall Jewelers. They have, like right now, they have
Emergency items.
lab grown diamond studs, total weight just over 2 carats, $799. These are diamonds. They are lab grown diamonds,
Hell yeah.
but $799 basically for a carat in each ear for your lady. That will avoid you getting slapped into yesterday.
I talked to him about that a few weeks ago, actually. So, and I asked him to explain to me the difference between diamonds,
Lab
quote
grown,
unquote, and then lab grown
and
diamonds.
and mined.
And he said, mined diamonds are very, very hard to sell on the retail market because
The
if
value is
the-
so high.
The value is too high. They're not marketable. Whether or not they're marked, which they could be,
So
still.
so lab grown do have a serial number
they're supposed to
that,
be
that
marked.
only can be read with a jeweler's eyepiece.
right.
You've got to have that kind of magnification.
He said there are times where there's
Mine diamonds that are
mine
marked.
diamonds that are marked. I think that's what he was trying to explain to me. But he says if they are, then that's ridiculously expensive. And so, like, no,
Get your king cake from Mardi Gras at Gambino's.
right there in the shopping center,
Right next door. Get your present for your lady on Valentine's Day.
and then come home and wash your car along the way.
There you go. And grab yourself a pour, have a weekly whiskey, and enjoy your implicit bias this week and next week. We'll see you in 7. Cheers.